All right, everybody, let's talk about communication. And specifically, in this case, we're going to talk about the aspect of communication that we know of as delivery. Delivery, which is the nonverbal aspects of the message. And we're going to look specifically at, first off, eye contact is very important during a speech. We know that it tells us that the speaker is honest and the speaker is confident. I know there are people that are professional liars that can look you in the eyes and lie to you, but a prerequisite for believing someone is that they are honest, is that they have eye contact. And it really helps you connect with the audience, but it's hard to achieve if we haven't practiced our speech. And so the key there is to start off, and make sure that you do practice your speech. The first couple times you run through your speech, it's not going to be very fun. But once you start to enjoy the practice, you'll start to get some dopamine hits from that practicing and you'll start to master your material. The other thing, though, is that after people get to the point where they know their speech, they sometimes still don't have eye contact because it's so intense when they look up at the audience. And for this, we encourage you to feel the fear and do it anyway and let the anxiety and the fear you have, which is totally normal, run through you. Next up, we have gestures. My suggestion regarding gestures is just to do them. A lot of times people put their hands behind their back and they look like they're in a choir or they're getting arrested. Uh, or they put their hands on their hips and they look like they're mad. But if you just gesture naturally, it usually works out pretty well. And also remember that you only need one hand to hold your note cards or your notes. And of course, when you're flipping cards, you have to use both. But after that, you don't have to have both hands on your note cards. Vocalized pauses. This is ah, okay. My first suggestion regarding this is just to go ahead and allow yourself to do some. It's not bad to have a few of them in every communication, but if we have too many, that's the problem. So try to reduce the total amount. The reason I mention allowing yourself to do at least some is if you do slip up and have an in your speech, I don't want you to make you more nervous because you have said and then that causes you to have more vocalized pauses. I had a professor at UC Santa Barbara that used to have a lot of vocalized pauses. He was a really, really good professor of dance, actually. And but he would always say in terms of it at the end of his sentences. And so it just shows that even really great professors have vocalized pauses sometimes. For volume, basically the main thing you want to do here is raise your volume up, project your voice, like be loud like the band AC/DC, because the audience will perceive you as being more confident if you're louder, and it'll also make it easier for people in the back of the room to hear you. And they won't be concentrating on whether or not they can hear you or not. They'll be really paying attention to your message if you speak loud. Movement, basically with movement, I would suggest that you do it. Don't feel like you have to be planted behind the podium the whole time, and feel free to own the room. People typically will move during transitions. That's a good time to move. Rate, basically with rate, what we're talking about is the idea that you should try to talk a little bit slower. So don't be a speedster like Han in this Fast and the Furious. Try to reduce your speed because remember the audience is not as familiar with your topic as you are, so they kind of need that help. And enunciation, this is where you basically sound out every letter of every word and try not to mumble. It's not to be confused with pronunciation, which is like potato, potato, tomato, tomato, banana, banana, but rather just making sure that you don't mumble and sound out every letter of every word. And here I have Adam Driver because he over enunciates actually to create the villainous character of Kylo Ren. So he can be sort of a role model. Not that you'd want to enunciate as much as him, but try to enunciate during your speeches. And the other delivery suggestions, obviously there's a lot more, But those are some basics. One thing I didn't include in the PowerPoint that I'd like to mention is vocal variation, just making sure that you have a dynamic speech. And one of the ways you can do that is vary up all the other things we've talked about, rate, volume, etc. All right. I hope your speech goes well and you have excellent nonverbal communication and enjoy your the delivery of your speech.